I stood in the foyer of the house I had just bought, the house I had spent 8 years scrimping and saving for. A beautiful home worth $965,000, located in the suburbs of Seattle, with 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and a spacious living room flooded with natural light. I had dreamed of this day for so long. The day I would finally have a place to call my own, but that dream was being threatened from the very first moment. My mother crossed her arms, her tone as if she were making an obvious decision. "Lily will take the master bedroom. You can stay in the basement. After all, you're always at work anyway." I clenched my fists, trying to stay calm. "But I bought this house." I emphasized each word. "Every single dollar came from my savings." Lily, my younger sister, leaned against the stair railing, her blue eyes sparkling as she feigned indifference. "Oh, don't be so selfish, Olivia. You know I need the space to grow my beauty brand. The lighting in the master bedroom is perfect for filming videos. Don't you want to help me?" I took a deep breath. In my 31 years of life, I had become accustomed to being the one pushed aside, always sacrificing for Lily. As a child, I wore her hand-me-downs, even when they no longer fit. In high school, my parents used my college savings to fund Lily's fashion design course, a course she dropped after 3 months because it didn't align with her creative vision. I was used to my family always making excuses for Lily, justifying her failures, while I had to fend for myself. I worked multiple jobs throughout college, graduated from medical school with enormous student loans, then spent 8 grueling years as a resident, before finally securing a position as a neurosurgeon at Seattle Grace Hospital. And now, in the very house I had bought with my own hard-earned money, they were deciding who got to live where. My father sat by the large window, where the sunlight highlighted the silver strands in his hair. "You have to understand, Olivia. Lily is going through a career transition. Her beauty brand is about to take off. She just needs a little support to succeed." I tightened my grip on my bag, frustration rising in my chest. Like when she opened her art studio? Or when she trained to be a makeup artist? Or last year's yoga instructor certification? Or her handmade cosmetics business that shut down after 2 months? Lily pouted. "You always love criticizing me, but at least I have passion and don't give up. That's what matters." I didn't want to argue. I knew that if I continued, the conversation would only turn into them painting me as the cold-hearted sister who refused to help her family. My mother glanced around the house, her eyes lighting up as she mentally divided the space. "The basement has a separate entrance, which is very convenient for you. You can come and go without disturbing anyone. It's perfect for your work schedule." I didn't respond. Instead, I quietly pulled out my phone and texted Rachel, my best friend and the real estate lawyer who had helped me close on the house. "They're doing it again. Time to implement Plan B." She replied immediately. "That fast? All right, let them keep pushing. You're fully prepared." 6 months ago, when I told Rachel I planned to buy this house for my family, she warned me. "You know, Olivia, Lily is going to try and take over. If you don't have protections in place, you'll lose all control." I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to think my family wouldn't take advantage of me that much. But I wasn't naive enough to leave everything unprotected. So Rachel and I drafted a legal contract. One that ensured I would have the final say in this house. A contract my family had never seen. My mother turned to me, smiling as if everything had been settled. "All right, sweetheart, that's decided then." I slid my phone back into my pocket, offering a small smile. "Yes, Mom, that's decided." They had no idea that in just a few weeks they would realize this was not their house to control. I had spent my entire life giving in, but this time would be different. 3 weeks later, my house had seemingly transformed into Lily's personal stage. Boxes of beauty products labeled Lily Rose cluttered the hallway. A few days ago, she even asked our parents to help her put up shimmering wallpaper in the master bedroom as a backdrop for her videos. I walked into the living room, which now looked like a makeshift studio. Ring lights pointed at the couch, tripods stood everywhere, and the coffee table was covered in bottles of serums, creams, and endless rows of lipstick samples. "You don't mind, do you?" Lily asked when she saw me. She was adjusting the angle of her phone, holding a compact highlighter in her hand. "I have a big live stream later to launch my new product. The brand is sponsoring it, so it needs to look professional." I crossed my arms, surveying the scene. "So that means you've started earning money from your brand?" Lily blinked, momentarily flustered. Not exactly, but I have so much potential. If this live stream goes well, I might get a contract with them." My father, who was leisurely sitting in his chair reading the newspaper, chimed in. "Sweetheart, you don't always have to be so serious. Your sister is trying. Can't you support her just a little?" I let out a dry laugh. "Oh, of course. Just like how the family has supported me all these years." My father pretended not to hear me. Day by day, Lily expanded her occupation of the house. She turned the living room into her filming space, the master bedroom into a product storage room, and the dining area into a strategy meeting space for her social media content creator friends. They came to my house constantly, discussing new trends, live streaming for hours, and frequently leaving a mess behind. The breaking point was one weekend night when I came home after a long surgery and found over 20 strangers gathered in my living room. Lily, dressed in an elegant evening gown, stood in the center of the room with a wine glass in hand. "Oh, you're home?" she beamed. "I organized a small networking event for the content creator community. We have to expand the brand, right?" I scanned the room. Guests were laughing, taking selfies, and strolling around with their wine glasses. A group was lounging on my favorite white sofa, snacking while live streaming. On the dining table, there were countless bottles of expensive wine, the kind I had never purchased. "Lily," I said slowly, "this is my house. And did you ask me before organizing this event?" Lily let out a nervous chuckle. "Didn't you always say a home is meant to be enjoyed? I just wanted to create a more creative space." I didn't respond. Instead, I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app. A transaction of nearly $650 appeared, paid from my card to an event service company. I took a deep breath, forcing down my anger. "Enjoy your night," I said, then walked straight to my office. But as I closed the door behind me, I knew that Plan B had to be executed immediately. The next morning, I sat in Rachel's office, exhaustion and frustration weighing on me. "This escalated faster than I expected," I said, shaking my head. "I had hoped they would at least have some self-respect." Rachel narrowed her eyes at me. "Did you really think that?" I sighed. "All right, no. But at least I wanted to give them a chance." Rachel pulled a stack of documents toward her. "Then it's time for the next step. Do you remember the clause we added to the contract?" I nodded. The property ownership agreement I signed before buying this house clearly stated that anyone living here for more than 30 days must sign a lease and contribute financially. Additionally, any commercial activities using the space must have my approval. If violated, the owner had the right to remove the occupant from the premises. Lily had no idea about that. I looked at Rachel, my voice firm. "Do it." Rachel nodded, picking up her pen and signing a few documents. "We'll send the official notice by the end of this week." When I got home, Lily was filming a video in the living room. The camera was pointed directly at me as I walked in. "And this is my sister, Dr. Olivia Lawrence," Lily said enthusiastically. "She's my daily inspiration. Do you want to say hi to my audience, sis?" I gave a small smile. "Of course." I looked straight into the camera. "I just want to say that some people are about to learn a very important lesson about homeownership." Lily laughed loudly, oblivious to the meaning behind my words. But in just a few days, she would understand. I sat down on the sofa in the living room, placing a stack of documents on the glass table in front of me. Across from me, my parents and Lily sat in the armchairs, their expressions puzzled. They still hadn't realized that tonight's family meeting was not a casual conversation. Rachel entered, closing the door behind her. She adjusted her gray blazer, placed her briefcase on the table, and took a seat. "Good evening, everyone," Rachel began, her tone calm yet firm. I'm Rachel Carter, a real estate attorney. Olivia has asked me to be here to clarify some matters regarding the ownership and management of this property. My father frowned. Why do we need a lawyer for this? This is Olivia's house. But it's a family home. We're not strangers. Rachel gave a polite but pointed smile. Legally speaking, this is not a family home. This property is under the sole ownership of Olivia Lawrence. And today, we will be discussing the residency terms for this house. I opened the stack of documents and flipped to the first page. As you all know, I said, keeping my voice calm, I bought this house entirely with my own money. And before purchasing it, Rachel and I drafted a contract that clearly outlines who can live here and under what conditions. Lily crossed her arms and leaned back in her chair, her tone dripping with sarcasm. You're acting like we're just tenants. Rachel didn't give her a chance to argue further. She slid a contract toward them. According to the stated terms, any adult residing here for more than 30 days must sign a lease agreement. The rent is calculated based on the room's size and amenities used. I looked at Lily, then at my parents. That means if you want to continue living here, you have to pay rent and contribute to household expenses like electricity, water, and internet. Silence filled the room. My father was the first to break it. You're joking, right? No, Dad, I replied. I'm very serious. My mother shook her head, disbelief in her voice. Olivia, you're a neurosurgeon. You have more than enough money to support your family. Do you really want to nickel and dime your own parents? I took a deep breath, keeping my composure. I'm not nickel and diming anyone. I just want everyone to take responsibility. I can't keep covering everything while I'm the only one with a stable income in this house. Lily shot up from her chair. This is ridiculous. I'm a content creator. I'm building my brand. You can't expect me to pay rent like some office worker. Rachel leaned back, tapping her pen against the stack of documents. By law, if you don't have a legal source of income or a verified financial account, you cannot sign a lease agreement. If you don't sign, you have 30 days to vacate. Lily's mouth fell open, unable to believe what she was hearing. You're kicking me out of the house? I looked her straight in the eye. If you don't pay rent, then yes. The argument lasted over an hour. My parents took turns blaming, pleading, and eventually guilt-tripping. Lily cried, trying every possible way to make me feel bad, but this time, I did not give in. When they realized I wasn't changing my mind, my mother switched to bargaining. We can compromise, Olivia. Maybe Lily doesn't have to pay rent right now, but she can help around the house to make up for it. I shook my head. Lily has turned this house into her personal space, thrown parties, and used my credit card without permission. And now you think she can make up for it by doing chores? Lily clenched her fists. You're going to regret this. I simply stood up, picking up the documents from the table. You all have 30 days. If not, I will proceed with legal action. My father slammed his fist on the table. We're family, Olivia. You can't do this to your own family. I looked him straight in the eye. Family is not an excuse to take advantage of someone. 30 days later, my house was finally mine again. Lily and my parents had packed their bags. After weeks of trying to hold on, they realized I wasn't bluffing. They moved into a smaller apartment in the city. Not too far, but far enough for me to have the distance I needed. Without a luxury backdrop for her videos, Lily had no choice but to get a real job. I heard she was now working as a receptionist at a gym. The first job in her life that she had kept for more than a month. My parents no longer sent me guilt-tripping messages. They didn't acknowledge their mistakes, but at least they had stopped trying to manipulate me. That first night in my quiet home, I sat with a cup of hot tea. No more fake laughter from strangers, no more endless live streams in the middle of the night. Just me, and the peace I had fought to reclaim. 6 months later, I received a letter from Lily. Olivia, I've tried to write this letter so many times, but only now do I truly know what I need to say. I always thought you were heartless, but now I realize you were the only one who set the boundaries I needed. You helped me by refusing to help me unconditionally. I had to learn how to live without a safety net, and while it was harder than I ever imagined, I now understand it was necessary. Thank you for being stronger than me. Thank you for not giving in. I hope one day you can forgive me. Lily. I read the letter over and over, feeling a sense of relief for the first time. The next day I sent a simple text. Let's grab coffee. We have a lot to talk about. I didn't know if my relationship with Lily could ever go back to what it was. But at least we had a fresh start, not from my unconditional sacrifice, but from her genuine growth. And to me, that was a worthwhile change. The Seattle sky was gray as I sat by the window, holding a warm cup of coffee. The house was quieter than ever, no more rowdy guests, no more late-night live streams, no more absurd charges on my credit card. The past 6 months had been the first time in my life I truly lived for myself. I walked around the house, feeling the clear transformation in every space. The living room was no longer overrun with tripods and fake backdrops. Instead, it held a cozy sofa and a bookshelf filled with my favorite novels. The kitchen was spotless, no longer bearing the aftermath of extravagant parties. The master bedroom was finally mine, just as it should have been from the start. And I felt no regret. Letting Lily and my parents leave wasn't just about reclaiming my space. It was a crucial lesson for all of us. I was no longer my family's personal ATM. I was no longer sacrificing my peace for relationships built on dependency and entitlement. I drove to the cafe where I had arranged to meet Lily. She had arrived early, sitting in a corner. There was no phone propped up for live streaming this time. The expensive silk dress was gone, replaced by a simple blouse. Her perfectly curled hair was now neatly tied back. When I sat down, she looked up and smiled, not the performance smile for the camera, but a genuine one. You still drink unsweetened lattes, right? She pushed a cup toward me. I raised an eyebrow. You remember? I remember a lot of things, Lily sighed. I remember how much you tried to help me. I just never acknowledged it. I stayed silent, letting her continue. You were right, she murmured, staring into her coffee. I spent my whole life thinking someone would always be there to support me. When you weren't, I had to find my own way. And honestly, it wasn't easy at all. I looked at Lily and saw the change in her eyes. The girl who once believed she could always rely on others had now learned what it meant to be independent. Do you regret it? Lily asked after a moment of silence. Kicking me and Mom and Dad out? I shook my head. No. If I hadn't done it, you wouldn't have had the chance to truly grow. Lily let out a soft laugh. Maybe. I resented you so much, but now I'm grateful. I took a sip of my coffee, feeling a sense of relief. Lily was no longer the dependent little sister I once knew. She was still learning to stand on her own, but more importantly, she had started taking real steps forward. Can we start over? Lily asked, her eyes more sincere than ever. This time, as real sisters? I smiled. I'd really like that. Outside the window, the Seattle rain fell lightly, washing away the remnants of the past. I knew things would never go back to the way they were, but maybe, this time, they would be better. Olivia's story isn't just about a house or family conflicts. It's a lesson in boundaries, independence, and self-respect. In life, sometimes the best way to love someone isn't by constantly helping them, but by letting them take responsibility for their own life. Saying no isn't always easy, especially when it comes to family, but sometimes it's necessary for both sides to grow. Olivia didn't just reclaim her space, she helped her sister find her own path to self-sufficiency. What do you think about Olivia's decision? Was she too harsh, or was it necessary for her family to truly grow? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to follow the channel for more stories about life and family.